And yeah, first masterclass I'm doing. I just want to be upfront. I am nervous as fuck. I've never done this style of teaching before, so I'm going to give it my best. I won't apologize because I'm setting myself up for a train wreck if that happens. Accountability. Welcome everyone. I'm not scared of the stage. I'm not scared to speak in front of people, but I'm sweating bullets here at the moment. Tonight's masterclass, accountability, but I'm showing up in my full presence. Accountability, what is it? Behind me, because I did not have time to do any PowerPoint slides for all the young fellas out there, the younger generation, I went old school, but I happened to forget that everything's backwards on the other side of a camera. Ah, hooray. I'm just enjoying this as a first-time experience, so bugger it. Instead of hitting the cancel button, what am I going to do? I'm just going to run with it, go with the flow. I love pen and paper. That's what I grew up with. I'm kind of adjusting to the new tech age, but hey, I'm hitting 40 on the horizon, and yeah, technology is leaving me behind. Can't beat pen and paper though. Pity it's backwards. All right, so tonight's masterclass, accountability. What is it? How does that show up in your life? Where are you accountable? Where do you need to be accountable in your life? Where could you use more accountability? So what is it? Simply being accountable to self. Self-accountable starts with me first, okay? Put yourself where you are in front of a mirror. I'm accountable to me. Once I learn to become accountable to me, then I can become accountable to others. And by the way, just before I forget, you may need a pen and paper for all the oldies out there. The young fellas, grab your favorite device and whatever it is, paint or notepad or your favorite app on your phone or something to scribble. Whatever that is on Android or Apple, that's up to you. I'm old school here, so bear with me as we work through this. Yeah, I'm accountable to myself and I'm accountable to you guys because I'm showing up the best way I can possibly be in this moment. I know technology, I could have done better. I could have done better with a bit more organizing, but fuck it, man. I've just got to run with it and just plow on, hey? So accountability, here we go, yeah? Accountable to myself, then I can become accountable to others. I managed to get some ideas written up on some paper, so that's a start. Save some time. So here we go, systemic accountability. This is what we are grown into to be conditioned with. Now, I speak a lot on the criminal justice system because it's something that I'm strongly interested in. I myself have been through the system twice now. I've got myself a few criminal convictions, a few slap on the wrists, one more strike and I'm off to prison. Although I've never been to prison, if I stuff up again, I'm going behind bars. So, and I'm a student of psychological science and criminology. In other words, I like scientific experimentation, mixing with criminology, studying the behavior, what drives us men to do what we should do or to not to do. The nature versus nurture argument, where I peel back the layer of this whole spiritual guru, whatever argument out there that's floating around in different men's and women's and other support communities. I like academia, I like results, I like statistics, I like scientific research, solid research. I don't care what side the argument it is on, it's credible to me. Okay? It's the high intellect that I see. Systemic accountability. What is it? Our justice system, for one. Okay, it's a perfect example. It's what we've grown into. It's what we've grown up with. It's how we're conditioned into, whether we've experienced ourselves as men or women going through it, or family members being affected by going through it. In other words, systemic criminogenic behaviors. How can I simplify that? Second, third, fourth-time generation offenders, where the behaviour starts, at once one parent, then of course emulates down further and further and further. So what does that look like? A behaviour or situation happens. Now with us men, I'll speak to this directly because I want to cut no bullshit. I don't really want to focus on the surface level stuff that a lot of the men's communities focus on. I want to cut straight to the heart. Behaviour situation, go to your local courthouse if you want perfect examples of men going through their journey on the justice system. A lot of men's communities, they focus around this on the surface level, the censored version. Okay, but my journey and many men that have gone before me have gone to the far extremes. Okay, in other words, a simple anger outburst can lead to further criminal charges down the end, like women feeling unsafe around a man or children, or even go to the further step, study your favorite true crime story or serial killers. I mean, I know Jeffrey Dahmer has been glorified recently through Netflix and your favorite Stan channel. I don't watch any of that garbage because I don't own a TV, and I don't want a TV because that's comfort. Okay, it upsets my flow. I get comfortable, I get lazy, I start procrastinating, I lose my focus, and all hell breaks loose in my life. Okay. Systemic. A behavior or situation happens, a man breaks down. Okay. He then gets caught, gets put through the court, right? Judge, the two questions, or the first question is, how do you plead, sir? Guilty? Okay, great. Straight to the consequence. Sentence, your consequence, you're either doing jail time, you're doing some sort of ICO order, or you get a fine, slap on the wrist, kick on the ass out the front door. Okay? Plead not guilty, well then as a man may have a bit of a fight. And I'm not biased here as an academic coming through forensic psychology, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. I love it, and I want to get back into it as soon as this whole Second Chance Man project is up and going, because I'm looking at the whole bias of the justice system on all angles, not just one side to the other. And I'm very passionate about forensic psychologists becoming a middleweight superpower within the courtroom, particularly family law, because that is terribly imbalanced. And I won't say all men, is terribly imbalanced for those who are affected, genuinely affected by biases, whether that's men, whether that's women, whether that's gay couples, bisexual couples, transgender couples, whatever. There's strong bias in there of this system, and this is where the significance of forensic psychologists comes in to analyze that bias and reset the balance. They use forensic psychs in the United States to reset the balance of some court jurisdictions, because some judges can be completely biased, or they can be corrupt, or some sort of situation, and the sentence comes down unfairly. There's been a lot of murder trials and stuff that have come through, men, mainly men who have served 10, 20. I mean, there was a case I read the other day in Texas, I believe. A man did 28 years and he was wrongly convicted. Cool. Forensic psychologist, because of how technology has come through our justice system. He was initially convicted guilty in the first instance, but technology and DNA and stuff have upgraded over the years. It overturned his conviction. It's sad to say it took 28 years to do so. However, this man is free. Good reminder. Accountability, right? Turn this phone off. It's going to drive me up the wall. It's going off like a ping pong ball today. Yeah, shut up. So we go through, we plead either guilty, not guilty. We've either got a fight on our hands or not as a fight. Then we get served the consequence. The consequence could lead to some media shaming or systemic shaming, which is generally the media newspaper. Pick your favourite crime story. Guaranteed there's a case behind it or a number of cases behind it. And then you'll find names and faces in the media. Me, myself, I've been in the media twice. Media cooked me 2018, September, and July 2019. Typical media bias. Obviously, when I was going through those journeys in the moment, it's a different story. This is why I'm very compassionate about men who walk this journey, because I've walked this journey myself. I've been publicly annihilated, shamed, fucked with by the media. I've had my reputation crushed. I'm not trying to play victim, which I'm not. It's simply the way our system is. Okay. Then that's it. Then we do our time, and then hopefully the system will say, okay, you've been shamed, you've been named, you're now welcome back into our community. Doesn't work like that. It dead set doesn't work like that. Remember, as kids, the older folk may remember this. If you were naughty with your parents, what happened? Did anyone ever have parents who'd give their kids a good smacking or a flogging with a stick or a belt? Or, when I was a little tyke, if I was naughty, my mother would chase me around with a stock whip, man. She was ruthless. But what did it do? Did it change my behavior, or did it instill further fear? It didn't change my behavior, because I was still a smart-ass little kid. Or I was a rebellious little kid. I'm still rebellious in my adult age, almost pushing 40, and I still question everything and aim, not from an ego point, but to see things from other perspectives. I've still got that rebellious nature, and it's something that I hold true. Individuality is my number one core value, and I will not sacrifice it for nobody at all, period. Period. No way. But our system treats men and women, or all gender identities. I want to be as friendly as I can here. I don't want to upset anyone here, particularly of this whole recent ideology, but that's another argument for another day. The system treats us like kids. You're naughty. Here's your punishment. Here's a consequence of that punishment. See you later. See you on the other side. And some judges out there are cruel. I will admit that. And this is where studies from the Australian Institute of Criminology will argue this, and many sociologists and criminologists will argue that this style of systemic accountability doesn't work. Period. Period. And this is why we have something like an 84 or 87% recidivism rate here in Australia within 5 years of that very first sentencing. It's almost identical to the old saying that, heroin ice addicts will be full-blown addicts before, within the first 3 to 5 years. They'll always relapse. It's the same thing in the justice system. From a legal perspective, I did relapse. My actions spoke differently on my second case, although from a legal standpoint, I did relapse, and I come up with the reason that I attempted to show compassion towards animals by breaching my order, although those animals were eventually euthanized, healthy, fit, freaking animals, and I won't argue that because I want to leave that era of my life where it is in the history books. As much as I tried to argue ultimately against the law, I breached. Okay, and obviously with that breach, I was obviously the first case in Queensland to be formally charged with a breach of one order. And I'll just say this I'm biding my time now, and I'll plant the seed now. Under 2 more years, and I have another fight on my hands to overthrow this breach. So then I'll be the first man in Queensland, in Australia, to successfully review this order. Okay, this is the last order, prohibition order. Apparently a lifetime ban of animals here in Queensland while I'm ever residing in Queensland. All animals, but that's beside the point. It's the prohibition orders, they're hit and miss, really. They are gaining traction, and this is not an instigation for men to further go down that path of bad behaviour. I'll just leave it at that. I've got a further legal fight on my hand coming up in the next under 2 years, and I'm going to win. I'm going to overthrow, not because I'm sitting on anger or resentment or shame, but I know through leading through my own positive example of helping others, not just educating, but helping men transform themselves, that I will win my case. It's as simple as that. I don't care what people think. What's done is done. What's in the history is done. I'm over it. I started this whole project to pay my debt forward, to myself and for others, because it takes, one can speak on the system itself and see how shit it is. We know it's shit. We know it doesn't help people. Yet we're the ones caught in the matrix who are glued to our distractions. And then when someone falls because he can't take those distractions or creatures of comfort anymore, those exact same people we surround ourselves burn that individual who starts to question his own reality. And that's exactly what happened to me on 2 occasions. The crab and the bucket syndrome, a lot of the personal development gurus call it. I questioned my own reality. Obviously, I broke down and tried to escape the bucket, and all the little crabs jumped on me and pulled me back. So, yeah, I'll leave my case as it is. Another 2 years, I'm going to be fighting hard. I'm going to be coming in strong, and I'm not going to be holding back. I'm going to be playing all out, not to crush, not to take revenge. I'm a lot smarter than that. I've sat with former debt collectors, former gangsters who are enforcers, who are very high intellect debt collectors. I know a few legitimate debt collectors, and they've always told me, Craig, do not ever do anything with emotion. Always use tact and logic. And that's how I'm going to win this war. So, yeah. Systemic accountability, which leads to self. I've touched on self, where parents, I don't know what the climate's like out there at the moment for disciplining kids. I'm seeing a lot of kids run riot. They do what they want these days. There's no real accountability. I was brought up with the stick, stock whip, belt, whatever mum could get her hands on if I was naughty. She was raised by a very vicious nun who was German, and she was vicious. Dad was a little bit more laid back, although very disciplined. I mean, grandma was ferocious with the kids. He didn't do what you told. She chased you around the house with a stick. That was the end of it. No negotiation. And you got flogged. That was it. Self-accountability. That was their way. They're very hard people, my father's family. Very hard, very disciplined. I got 6'4" uncles. Obviously, they act like spoiled brats, but in their younger day, they could drink, play rugby, go work all day, hit the piss at night, fight out front of the pubs. They were just unstoppable. That was that era of that generation. The Depression era generation, or the values of the Great Depression. Very hard men. If you cried, you were shown as a pussy. You worked hard, you played hard, you drank hard. And that was that. Self-accountability is becoming accountable to self. And this is where this overlays into ownership, as the personal development gurus call it. Jocko Willing's got some excellent stuff on that I've read, and I've listened to his podcast and I've incorporated into my own behavior. Again, a behavior, a situation happens. Something happens, whatever that is. In my case, 2017, I had a nervous breakdown, man. I literally had a mental breakdown. That was through an unannounced pregnancy, an abortion, a separation, all in one line, and that was the trigger, which then I took my anger out on. It was a choice of exploding onto her or something else, and I had a dog in my care, which I ended up killing out of my own anger. And I cowered, because instead of surrendering to myself and owning my shit, taking ownership, I had all the skills on it, everything in the textbook, obviously going through the moments. And this is where a lot of people get their wires crossed. Going through the moment, it's a different story. When you're in the hot seat, the driver's seat, the mind's going left, right, and center, anxiety, fear, all the emotions under the sun, panic. What do you do? What do you do? In my obvious skill set, because when it comes to our hopes and dreams, we don't raise to our hopes and dreams. we fall to the level of our training. And I ran like a cowardly dog, man. I ran for myself while the system caught up with me. And of course, I got caught. And then that's when I started my journey. About mid-November 2017, I started my journey through the justice system. And then numerous appearances in court, in and out of court, trying to plead guilty, trying to go guilty. It's like, fuck, man, just sentence me, for Christ's sake. So just get it over with. Stop carrying out. You're only running the legal bill up. I've got no lawyer. I'm broke. Just sentence me. And then finally, September 2018, I got put through the ringer. Shamed, shamed, and completely destroyed by the media. Lost my reputation, my character, my jobs. I lost so-called friends, which were business buddies, family. I had family turn on me. It was a chaos, and evidently I attempted suicide probably 2 days after my sentencing up at Innisfail. I booked a caravan in Innisfail, Queensland. Because I'm a courier, I know this industry backwards and forwards. I know who to do business with, who not to do business with. I've done business on all sides of the law with everyone. I've carded anything and everything except for explosives and ammunition. I've done firearms, both on the right side of the law with gun shops, and I've worked with organised crime, because as transport workers, we don't say shit when someone's paying us, right? We don't question anybody. Because that loses business, and this industry, because diesel's what, at $2.40 a litre I've seen today. Why would you, if someone's flashing a few 50s in front of your face for a parcel that's worth no more than, $1.70? Why not? Right? I'm good friends with an ex-Rebels commander out here at Burpengary. I bought a 38 Smith & Wesson pistol, and off I went to Innisfail and booked a caravan up there on the Pacific Highway there, and attempted to take my life and failed. 3 clicks of a loaded pistol, wouldn't discharge. And phone call rang, and obviously there was a man on the other end who actually gave a fuck of my situation, seen through the bullshit that was going on, all the chaos and the craziness, and helped me calm myself down and teach me the principles of self-accountability. And bring myself back to Brisbane to seek the emergency treatment I needed, which then started my journey of rehabilitation. Hence, the journey continues, right? 2019, seeing my second case, and obviously, introduced the men's work in between, got initiated, and then started my mission in 2019, and COVID hit, and obviously here I am after 2020 and all the COVID crap, and launching a support group for men going through similar cases, or women going through similar situations to me. Because my situation for the self-accountability is I'm just another case who went through the system. I looked up through the Australian Institute of Criminology for animal welfare cases since my last case in 2019 here in Queensland, and there's been over 1,550 cases successfully convicted, and that's on the high end of, the higher end of convictions, not the low end, here's a $500 fine, see you later out the door. The higher end with ICO orders and potential imprisonment, suspended sentence, and, up to 5 years imprisonment for, say, dogfighting or something like that. Over 1,500 cases convicted. So it just goes to show our system is fucking failing. This systemic accountability is failing. And it's something I go on about because I've walked this system, man. Because I've walked this system, I just don't criticize shit from an armchair. I can look through the lens of what I have experienced and what other men and women experience themselves when they're on their journey through this. It's not easy, I tell you. Systemic accountability is bullshit. It's what we're conditioned. Now, my solution is that we throw this whole justice system out the window and incorporate a more restorative justice, which is, Howard Scher and John Braithwaite have, and it's very successful in New Zealand. And they deal with high profile, from violent offenders to sexual criminals to whoever, and rehabilitating them at a 96.5% success rates from individual to community. And they have longer term studies of 5, 10, 15 years where these guys have gone on and then become examples for their community. And this is where the whole hypothesis of second chance man's come in. It was like, well, we need the men's community out there are crying for men to step up to show some backbone, because we need solid masculine men in this community, not hyper masculine or hyper feminized, but solid masculine men to lead themselves most importantly, and to lead their family most importantly, and then their communities, right? I'm not talking about this whole Spartan warrior bullshit or hyper feminized men who, are that pussified. I mean, I was a pussified bitch 5 years ago. You could push me over and I wouldn't swing back. But then I'd take my anger out on someone smaller than me because someone took their anger out on me. And that's what I seen. Right? Someone bigger than me took their anger out on me when I was small. So I emulated that and taking my anger out on someone smaller than me, right? That shit's got to stop. We've got to break that cycle where it needs to be broken. Righto. Next one. Whew, I'm feeling good now. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling calm, feeling relaxed. The accountability pyramid. Wow. Now, this is a few ideas that I knocked up. I've done a bit of study on this. Flow state. Where are we in our flow of that moment of accountability when we're challenged, where we're in or out of accountability, right? Are we secure in our flow? Do we flow through? Do we own up to our shit? Okay. Yes, it was me. I've done that. Yes, it was me. I did that. I killed that animal, right? That was me, right? I'm guilty, sir. Right? Yeah, that was me. I breached my conditions on my order. Yeah, that was me. Guilty. Am I in flow? Obviously, in going through that moment when you're standing in front of a judge, you're shaking, you're nervous, you're just about crying. It may be a little bit different. However, through different recordings and cases and stuff, there's men out there who can stand confidently in the ground and go, yep, that was me, sir. May not be in front of a judge. What about men? Men owning their shit to whoever. You might have to have a deep conversation with your partner. I focus on the justice system because it's a core foundation that sucks a lot of men in. What about as a man, you have to own something towards your partner? You're accountable to your partner. What about that tough conversation if you're a man who's out of wedlock, who's slept with another woman? What about that scenario? What about as a woman, you've got to tell your man that you may have slept with another man? What about that? How do you hold yourself accountable for that, right? Are you in flow? Are you secure in your flow? Because this will challenge your beliefs, okay? How we forge our beliefs, right? We can have weak beliefs through the lack of adversity. And this is where we get our bitch face on and cower. I was a fucking bitch at one stage of my life. I cowered because I had weak beliefs. I wasn't challenging myself through adversity. As men, we need to challenge ourselves through adversity. I'm not saying go to offending behavior or go, violate people's rights. No. Healthy adversity. 2017, my weight was around 150 kilos. I was smoking a 50-gram pouch of Winfield Red every second day. I'd just come off, I'd not long quit the booze, so I was clean off alcohol. I had a bit of a cocaine addiction. Whenever I had money, I had an ego on me so damn solid you could barely relate to me. Oh, excuse me. I thought I was a high-flying salesman, right? Because that was been modeled to me, right? Salespeople, high flyers. I had my transport business. I thought I was the shit, right? I was on the good stuff to keep me behind the wheel up to 36 hours straight. I was flying high, man. But internally, my world was burning to the fucking ground. And it did burn to the ground. And I paid my price. I paid my consequence because I lacked beliefs. I had a weak belief system about myself. I read all the books. I went to the functions. I was heavily into personal growth and development. Oh, let's go get an autograph by a big guru speaker. Bang, I was there. I used to go to a lot of meetup groups. I used to go to a lot of sales seminars. I thought I was the shit, man. Ego, fucking ego, like steel. You could not connect with me. I was a chameleon. I polished myself so good, so well, so scripted. Because of my high intellect, I'm able to study words and break them down and practice and perfect and polish. I'm able to mold myself and fit myself in different scenarios. I had a fucking ego on me so damn thick you couldn't connect. Nobody could relate to me, but I thought I was a legend in my own lunchbox, right? Well, my lunchbox was sinking, right? And it did sink. And I tell you, I am grateful for everything that I've gone through, because a lot of people out there still don't know my full story, right? I am fucking grateful that all this happened to me. Otherwise, I'd be still that little bitch 5 years ago, burning myself to the ground, causing whatever destruction. Who knows where my anger, where that energy would have ended up if it hadn't come out the way it did. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm grateful for everything that I've gone through, because that has given me the adversity that I needed to be challenged. And I'm not saying to every man, go out and do what I did. I'm saying find models who can model healthy ways of adversity, such as working out in the gym. I love working out. I love training. In the last 12 months, I have become an absolute addict to training in the gym. My health has cleaned right up. I've been vegan for over 3 years. By the way, you can still be a healthy, obese, fat fuck, right? Who's vegan, right? The vegan market's been the quickest from $0 to $1 billion standing still, soaking wet. Because why? Because the junk food and the shit markets got involved, and someone who doesn't have animal products or proteins, that can go get his favorite fucking donut or thick shake or whatever and gorge like a motherfucker and still end up 180 odd kilos like his mate who eats bloody Macca's and Hungry Jack's and fucking Domino's Pizza and all the rest of the shit with meat and fillings and all that other crap. I used to eat that, man. I've still got a hardy metabolism, but I've learned to control myself through adversity, right? As men, we work on routines, regiments. Why are inmates so damn ripped, right? Another study from the Australian Institute of Criminology back in 2016 argued that unfit men who did not have a regiment training, right, some sort of program. You've heard me say program. What's your program? And a few lives and a few posts. Unfit men who are obese, unhealthy, didn't look after themselves, suffered more anger issues than those men who are in a program, who are ripped, healthy, not as such rich, but ripped and healthy and regimented, right? Militarized. They're extremists on themselves. I found that interesting. And that's what inspired me to take on, the 75 Hard by Andy Frisella. And I took it on as a challenge, a mental toughness challenge to develop the adversity so I could forge new beliefs. Hey, new beliefs. Now, my question to you is, what are your beliefs at this current moment? Do you believe in yourself? Are you good enough? I still battle with the are you good enough fear, okay? That's something from my childhood when my mother was flogging the fuck out of me as a child for being a fucking child. My mother would always brand into me, you're not good enough. You're a piece of shit. You're a kid. You should be seen and not heard. And, man, these weren't smacks or anything. She full-on flogged the fuck out of me, Fucking up like this in the fetal position trying to protect myself with a stock whip or a fucking belt or a stick or whatever coming down on me. Like, man, I was fighting for my life, right? And that fear is obviously branded into my belief system that I've got to constantly fight all the time when I step out of my comfort zone, right? Sharing my story, getting on stage or something to speak or jumping on my phone, right? We haven't done much public speaking in the last 2 years, right, because of a certain big C and ended in lockdown, right? But jumping on a phone and doing a live a live video or doing a blog post because, hey, I'm worrying about my belief. Am I fucking good enough or not? Well, yes, I am good enough, right? I'm good enough because I want to make an impact. I've got a solid mission in my life through my experience, my fucking demons that I need to make an impact. Beliefs. We forge new beliefs through adversity that forge the way for powerful thoughts, right? We develop our thoughts in the heat of adversity, in the heat of the moments of working out. What's your thoughts? I mean, there's some afternoons where I'm absolutely fucked from coming home from work. I've done 14 hours on the day. The last thing I'm thinking about is hitting my mat and training, right? But I do it. I do it because I'm accountable to me, right? I'm in my flow state. My beliefs are, well, I need to forge a new belief, right? And comes with new thoughts while I'm in that motion of ripping my body clean or tearing muscles with my kettlebells. It's forging new thoughts, right? In that heat of battle, as we say, as us men, in the heat, thrusting that sword, throwing that kettlebell, lifting that barbell, going for that run, whatever your favorite, enter your favorite cardio or strength exercise or whatever to challenge yourself in the heat of adversity. Now, I'm not saying go pick a fight with your mate. However, find something alternative. Right? And then from our thoughts, we develop new actions, right? Through class alignments that we're through posture and talk. So what's your posture like, right? Are you look like a zombie or a bit of flesh sitting there on a seat, or you sit there and go, right, I'm here, I'm confident, I'm firm in my power, I'm confident in my voice. What's my language? Do I want to do this or don't I want to do this, right? What's my self-talk to myself, right? Oh, no, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I don't feel like it. I'm tired. I've spent 14 hours on the damn fucking road. I don't want to do it. Fuck it, man. Or is it fuck it, man? You know what? I am absolutely shot from the day. I've done 14 hours on a day, but you know what? I'm accountable to me and I'm accountable to others. And the only way I can set my example is if I'm out in the mat doing those reps, right? I'm leading myself through my pain to shine the light for other men to follow, right? To reach, to become a new man, we must be truly unsatisfied with our current self, right? Are you really unsatisfied with yourself in this moment today, now? That's a really deep question. 2019, I was initiated into the Mankind Project. July, I walked the mountain down Coonawarra. I was a broken man. I was halfway through my therapy, intensive therapy, clinical psychology. I had all sorts of academics wandering through my head to try and work out who I was, what they wanted to pathologize me with, clinical psychs, EMDR psychologists, non-clinical psychs, criminal psychologists, you name it. They're trying to work me out to give me a label, right? But in the meantime, I snuck away and got myself initiated through this beautiful men's work that I did. I walked that mountain at Coonawarra, a broken man, and I came back with a plan, a much deeper, much more aware man. Now I'll be straightforward and straight shoot. It's not some magical woo-woo. We eat mushrooms, eat granola, whatever, drink some magical fucking, I don't know, tea, and then all of a sudden, poof, unicorns and flowers and all sorts of shit come out and all their problems are solved. No. I was challenged that weekend. I was challenged by mature men to step into my manhood, to reclaim my balls, my power that I had given away to the system that I'd lost. And I reclaimed my power, and that power felt so damn good. To reclaim myself to grow up from a wounded little boy and step into a man. That was a seed that I needed to plant within myself, that I was unsatisfied with myself. Absolutely unsatisfied. I was sick and tired of suffering. I was sick and tired of playing the victim for myself and those around me. I'm a pretty resilient individual, and I'm also resilient against myself. I'm stubborn as hell. I get a lot of that from my father, who was very stubborn, resistant to change, hesitant to change, right? But because of all the shit that I've been through the last sort of couple of years, I had an awakening. Not some weird, an actual genuine awakening to want to change, because I was absolutely, truly unsatisfied with myself and my current situation. Because of my age, I was 34, 35 at the time. 34. Yeah, 34 when I was initiated into the mankind. A little while ago now. I'm 37 now, so 40 is not far on the sunrise for me. So, hey, another milestone. But that weekend really, it built the foundation to who I've become as a man, and that sort of planted the seed to start visiting Woodford Prison, to sit with men, to hear their stories who were in prison, right? That planted the seed for me to start uni, because I really wanted to pay it forward, right? It was a genuine passion, and I still want to pay it forward. It's my absolute commitment to break the cycle of men, right? I don't want to be another personal development speaker. I don't want to be another man who has walked the justice system and come out and tell young boys or young men not to do this or not to do that. No, I'm not anybody's father. I'm not anybody's mother. I'm not a policeman. I'm not, an elder. As a young man coming through the ranks, for me to tell my younger self is learn with life, take the lessons, man. Go and fail harder. Go and fail, go and fuck up. You'll learn. Then you'll meet your angels along the way, your mentors. I'm not saying go commit. No, go and fail. Go and learn from other failures, right? Don't become them, but learn from their wisdom, right? So you must become truly unsatisfied with who you are right now in this moment, right? This is the accountability pyramid. If you want to write that down or scroll that. I found this interesting, right? This actually sounds good for training. I don't know yet, right? As wounded men, we lose our backbone and it becomes soft, right? What happens when you don't work a muscle? It becomes soft, it becomes flabby, You lose your strength, right? You get comfortable. We lose our backbone, it becomes a wishbone, right? There's too many men out there with wishbones, right? Not enough men with backbones to lead forwards. Plenty of men out there with ego, hypermasculinity, stern wannabe Spartan warriors who see things only one way. Or on the other side of the pendulum, there's hyper-feminized men who are pussified bitches who you'll push over, who a bully will come and take advantage of them and keep ripping into them, and they won't stand up for themselves. I was brought up in a schoolyard. If a bully came and attacked you, you stood up and you smacked him between the eyes. And you didn't just smack him for your own sake. You smacked him hard enough to the point he stopped bullying the yard altogether. Okay, that's the way I was brought up, and we somehow lost that culture for some reason, right? Although what I have tapped into is a lot of resilience coaches are starting to come around in public school sector now. So what a resilience coach, hired by public schools do is they act like the bullies, right? They go and rough kids up at a young age, right? It might be, was it year 2, year 3 or something? Just start roughing them up, okay? Take their lunch on them, just simple stuff, right? Help build resilience for when later on, when they get to year 7, I think it is, in the junior high school, they've got that resilience to stand on their 2 feet to someone who's 2 to 3 years older than them and go, no, I won't tolerate your bullying and I'll stand firm in my power, right? Not going to go on the ground and cry like a little bitch, chuck a little tantrum, roll around. No, I'm going to stand firm in my power. We're planting the seeds of resilience at a younger age, right? And this trend's starting to take off, right? We help men develop from their wishbone to a damn backbone so a man can stand center in his power. Not be a pussified bitch or a hypermasculized warrior, you know. Even balanced. Hard on himself, loving and kind to others. I'm brutal on myself, man, because I want to be kind and loving to others. I got a lot of compassion for people. Okay, I may come across stern, I may come across with a bit of warrior energy at times because I'm tapping into all my archetypes. I'm flexing my muscles to see where I'm best suited or where I'm good at. Okay. So if we go to the next slide, I'm just going to grab a drink of water. Bear with me. 60 minutes on, we're still going. So how do we do all this? I've touched on accountability. I've touched on accountability, systemic. I've touched on self-accountability, right? Both self-accountability, which is systemic, and also self-accountability for thyself, right? So how do we bring this all in to step by steps, right? For self-accountability to mature as an experienced man or mature as a man coming through the ranks from boyhood to manhood through his own self-initiation. Will Friedman is also a PhD, clinical psychologist, I believe, come up with 7 steps. Self-responsibility and self-accountability. You can jump on Google, look up all his stuff, research, blogs, get a feel for him. I related well because his stuff has helped me move forwards. So it's come to the 7 steps of self-responsibility and self-accountability in adulthood. Right? First step is being fully present. It's all about presence, right? And bugger it, I'll use a pen here. Living in the moment. Yeah. Don't mind my handwriting. Might change colours, actually. Living in the moment of all experiences, right? In order to embody life's lessons, or should I say, not embody is a weird term, simple. In order to grow from life's lessons, we must live in the moment as the moment prevails. It may be hard if we're going through a mental breakdown, I know, but the subconscious mind constantly reflects back. It's known as PTSD, traumatic symptoms, right? It reflects back and amplifies subconscious, right? We've got to live in the moment. So we feel every essence of the moment that we live, positive or negative, right? Brene Brown's The Queen of Shame. Internal shame is what drives us, right? It's a pain signal that drives us away from a pain and also towards pleasure or purpose, right? Honesty. This is an interesting one. Got to be brutally honest, right? Learn to be brutally honest. In all situations. Now, as men, this is challenging. I know as a man, at times, there's some stuff that I say too much and there's other things that I say too little. It's all about honesty, right? Keeping integrity, knowing what to say, when to say, how to say it, but being honest in the moment. If you're being grilled by someone, a loved one, just be open and transparent. I'm to the point about my story now where I don't care about it. Like, I don't carry any sort of shame about it. It's up there on the internet. People can read about it. They can learn from it. I don't give a shit, right? Troll me all you like. Have a good day. I know exactly what to say, how to say it, and I know how to use a mirror. And I'll tell you what, a mirror deflects. It's like Acme troll spray, right? Once you call people forwards into their own power that they don't know they really had, they tend to disappear really quick, right? Being honest. Honesty is a dirty word these days. As men, we don't really have this conditioned into us as boys by our fathers to an extent to reach our full power, right? Yeah, okay, don't tell white lies, tell the truth, right? I mean, obviously our fathers do their best for us kids, right? But as we get older, that shit kind of wears off, right? You don't want to be telling white lies at your job or in front of a judge or to a police officer because you'll get found out, Be brutally honest, up front. I know that sometimes they can carry a lot of shame. It did for me for a few years. Stalwart, this is an interesting one. I'll have to get a research on that. I wrote this down in a moment. Stable and disciplined. Being stable in the moment, right? What does that look like? Well, stability, being calm. Anxiety is an interesting debate, and I've heard different arguments on it. I'm anxious now. I'm sweating. It's hot. It's humid. I've been on this call 65 minutes, 70 minutes going. I'm sweating like anything. But I'm stable, right? I'm stable in the moment. I know my anxiety's there. I know my nerves are there. But I'm doing the best I can in my moment. So stalwart, just be stable and disciplined. No matter what happens, like tonight, my technology was giving me the absolute shits to the point where I wanted to throw something out the door, but I knew I had to show up no matter what for this call. Otherwise, I'd be out of accountability and integrity. So I got my technology together and finally working, and hopefully the audio is coming through on Zoom. Discipline, just be disciplined, move forwards. The life coaching profession argues progress over perfection. Now, I could have spent half a day setting this up, doing perfect PowerPoint slides and whatever. And it would have probably taken me half a day to do 2 or 3 slides, which has happened in the past because my high intellect or my C or my melancholy sides just wants to do everything perfect. Iron out the kinks, spell checks, perfect aligned measurements. It's like, nah, just grab the notebook and go for it. Discipline, progress over perfection. Yeah. Fourth one is congruence, being congruent to your values. Work out what your core values are and remain steadfast. Now, individuality, I've touched on this earlier, is my number one value. And I will not sacrifice that for nobody. Period at all. I'm still rebellious. I've still got that rebellious, hardy, rebellious nature in me. And I stand my ground on it. I will not be part of groupthink mentality. Groupthink is an academic term for mob mentality. Okay. If I could give an example for that, communities banding together as we do, and everybody becomes yes people with no challenge. I see this in men's work. I've seen it in co-gender circles. I've seen it in the spiritual community, conscious community. I've seen it in personal development seminars where you got 150 people in the room and not one person challenges anybody. Yes, sir. No, sir. Straight to the back of the room, sir. Thank you very much, sir. That's $20,000, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Groupthink. I'm congruent with my values, honesty and integrity are the other two, and also compassion because I have love, genuine love and care and understanding, and I want to see growth in people. I'm just not going to coddle people to where they want to be. I will challenge you. I will sometimes rip you raw in a constructive way to help you bring you home to yourself. That is my nature because I want you to become the best version of you, most importantly. Then you can become the best version for those around you. And with that, we can break whatever the cycle is, cut whatever that cycle is what's holding you back from your future self. The fifth step, always be learning. I'm a learner by nature. Learner is one of my Gallup strengths. I absolutely love to learn. I'm a vivid reader, and I'm building myself a huge library. A mixture of academia, science, psychology, criminology, sociology, anthropology, you name it, philosophy. I love Hume, Jeremy Benford, Plato, etc., etc., etc. I'm always learning, and not just theory, as well as experiential learning as well. Different ways of doing things, challenging my mind to think different ways. Look. The biggest thing that I'm so damn passionate in the whole men's work space is don't look at life through a single lens. And this is part of the old world thinking is there's only two lenses to look through life. You know, there's black, there's white, you know, there's no color in between, right? We're in a new world. The world has changed. We're no longer running around with spears and clubs and chasing animals and living out of a cave by a bonfire, right? The world's long changed, right? Even mothers, you know, teaching their sons how to cook their meals to look after themselves these days is a thing of the past, right? It's all done by what, Uber Eats or something now, or Menulog or your favorite on-demand app. You can have, you know, $30, $40 dinner rock up at your door. You can get pizza delivered, whatever you want delivered, like on-demand economy. Mothers don't need to teach their sons how to cook a freaking meal, look after themselves anymore, right? Always be learning. Be open to it. This is how we grow, right? The sixth step. Always have a win-win focus. No me, no fucking victim mentality, right? Me. It's not about you, right? It's about those around you who feed into you, right? Play win. Win-win. Take others with you. Play a bigger game than your situation. Look, learn from your situations. Look at things through a different lens and go, right, how can I play this as a win-win game, right? No me. No poor me. That doesn't exist anymore in this world. Or it does. And that's an ideology that I'm also arguing with, is this whole amplified victim mentality, right? Yeah, okay, we'll get to that on another day. I've got a lot of ideas on that aspect. Play bigger than yourself, right? And the second step is obviously a rock solid, laser focused commitment to growth, right? I don't think there's any more. Always be growing. Every day. Every day. We have new experiences, right? Put that down. Every day we have new experiences to learn, to grow. What can I learn here? How am I growing there? Whether it's from books we read, experiences we live through. Right? Have that focus, rock solid focus to commitment and growth. And this is the essence of accountability. If I can be accountable to self for my actions, then I can be accountable to my commitment to growth. Because being accountable to self, holding myself accountable, adds to my growth. Taking ownership for my stuff adds to my growth, right? Being held accountable by others adds to my growth and also shares the goal to those around me from my experiences, which help other men grow. And then together we can take others up with us, yeah? Because that's what we're born to do here, right? We're born to live, learn, and grow, right? Take others. We're communal people, and that's going back since the tribal days. Communal people, we take others with us. I'm not going to be on this planet long enough to experience every damn lesson in a theoretical textbook. You aren't either. You're not going to live long enough to experience everything. But what we can do together as a culture is we can learn from each other's experiences, positive or negative. That's out the window. It's the lessons behind it, what to do, what not to do, how we've grown, how we've overcome, the resilience factor, the accountability factor, how we own our stuff, how we move forward with logic, our commitment to growth, congruence to our values, how we learn. What else have we got? Are we living in the moment? Full presence, absolute honesty. Now, I'm not talking brutal truth, the whole hyper ego present, tell the truth. I don't care if it pisses people off. No, tell the truth in a way that it's learning for others to learn from. I deal with a lot of egos in my day, right? It's very interesting being someone who's very observatory of people, where they're at in their life, and who can circle and circle and circle and just I'm really observant of people. I've done a lot of training around body language and stuff like that. Brutally honest doesn't mean being brutal with people. It means just being honest. Don't upset people. And have some stability, right? And be disciplined about it. I hope you're getting some value from here, guys. This is my first masterclass. If I go back to the very beginning, accountability. Looks like we covered what it is, right? Being accountable to me, myself, first. Then I can become accountable to others, right? Accountability, if we modeled that through our boyhood, we can become better men by being accountable. I'm dry as, man. Forgive me. What else we cover? Systemic, right? Systemic accountability, from behaviors to judgments to consequences. The systemic conditioning, that I've gone through, and many men going through, and women, and those that are about to go through, right? Whatever has brutally wounded you is a key to your passion. If you haven't found your passion or purpose in life, you essentially haven't suffered enough as a man, right? Being straightforward. Whatever has wounded you the hardest, or about to critically wound you, in other words, what you're about to go through, is a key to your purpose. And I can tell the difference when sitting with men, whether they've gone through something or going through something or about to go through something, with the depth of their conviction, right? Self-accountability, which ties on to the systemic. We covered over that, how it all ties in. The accountability pyramid, flow, secure. Are we secure in our flow state, right? Do I do things in flow every day, or do I bitch and whinge and complain and want to be the biggest victim for myself and self-coddle myself and, be a bitch? Or do I want to get shit done, right? We're men, right? We get shit done, right? Yeah? Yeah? If we're in flow, we forge our beliefs through adversity or the lack of it, which then program our thoughts, which then our thoughts turn to actions. And that's ultimately the deciding point, whether we're sick of our current state in the realm of now to become whatever that is at the top of your mountain as a better man, right? Yeah, from turning this wishbone into a backbone, yeah? This is what we want as men. Yeah, we covered that. I'm thinking that's going to make a good training, yeah? I have to get some feedback on that. And of course, the 7 steps by Will Friedman. Yeah. The 7 steps on how to self-accountability, self-responsibility, self-accountability as men, as women, as whatever, right? Presence, honesty, stalwartness, being congruent to your values, whatever your core values are and strengths. Be open to learning, play a win-win in a bigger game, and of course, rock solid commitment to change and growth. 5 years ago, just to finish here, because I'm drying out at the moment. 5 years ago, 2017, when I knew internally my world was burning down, I already knew because I was going through a lot of speaker training. I just sold a transport franchise and I wanted to embark on a career as a professional speaker. And I still have that passion, but now I've got more of a fire about it. I knew all this information. Right. Theoretically, I read textbooks, I've read personal development. I'd buy books because I wanted to buy books because I thought I'd look good. Getting a book signed by a top guru, top speaker, fucking expert, whatever. But really, to know and not to do, it's hypocritical, right? And I've been challenged on this in the last few years. We've got to learn to know and to do what we know and then duplicate what we learn, know, and do onto others. It's the old original Boy Scout method, right? You learn something, you do it, and then you teach it. What I've put together for this accountability, I've lived this, and I continue to live this every day. Ever since I was shown a lot of it, going through a lot of my recovery journey, 2018, 2019, my clinical psychology, EMDR, whatever, I was shown different pathways. And I just didn't act like another man going through the justice system, right? Come out the other end and spat, see you later, here's your $200 gift card. F off or fuck off, don't come back. I took initiative because I'm hungry, I'm stubborn, I'm determined for change. I've sat with some of Queensland's top forensic psychologists, mentor sessions, not client to therapist model, criminal psychologists, forensic psychs, you name it. While I was on probation, that very, very, very rarely happens. I don't know. And I've asked my question, why? Why did all this happen? Why couldn't I be just like another man? Just fall through the cracks of the system, end up like another statistic, come out the other end of his probation, go and re-offend, or as that's what they call it, go and be bad again, have my knuckles wrapped, and end up in a lifeless, revolving door, revolving cycle of the system, become another man. I've put a lot of thought into it, I guess really when your back's against the wall, when you suffered enough internal suffering to want to change, it brings you into a fork in the road. And for some of us men who are stubborn, like me, we have to take that road, down that path, and go all the way. It's a sad truth. A lot of men commit suicide, successfully commit suicide. It's a sad case, I know. But what does it take for a man to learn the fundamentals of accountability to self? What does it really take? We can sit and play grab ass in men's circles and encourage each other along. We can attend all the co-gender circles we want and play along in the script, right? The coaching scripts. Right, we all learn them, right? I'm not going to lie, man. It's like this culture in these communities. We all get together and then we just transform into this hypnotized human, right? The whole got to be vulnerable state, the whole brutal honesty. And if I stand back as an academic and a critic to these sort of things, in some ways it's healthy, in other ways it's damn toxic because it's groupthink kicking in. Instead of becoming individuals who are stepping into their power, we become part of a collective who are just following one after the other, after the other, after the other. And I guess it's my individuality that's kicking in here. I'm fully supportive of men's work, providing they do the groundwork of getting the correct blessings and the correct permissions from Indigenous elders to incorporate culture into their teachings. That's my belief, and I've got evidence behind me on that from different scholars and all sorts. Again, another conversation for another day. Back to accountability. I guess as a man has to really suffer within himself, internal suffering, to a point where he wants to change. No amount of theory, no amount of preaching, no amount of modeling, no amount of mentoring. It can definitely be like a lighthouse to a man to become more accountable with himself. However, at the end of the day, the first step from, I guess, boyhood to manhood is learning to make a decision no matter right or wrong, for himself, and accept consequences for that, right or wrong, and be absolutely honest to it. There's no other way. I can jump up here and I can preach, I can carry on, and I know there's heaps of other men that can do the same, right, and model this accountability game. But at the end of the day, men have to walk it. They really have to walk it through their stuff. Being totally transparent on this, men have to walk the walk, not just talk. They have to walk it. And I guess this is the part of the whole rites of passage that men have to go through, from boys to men, learning to decide for themselves, being accountable to self, right? Being accountable to others. Back in our tribal times, Parents, right? Parents were really the authoritarian dictators who held boundaries. And this is not just from tribal. I've looked at different cultures as well. A lot of the Christian culture, a lot of the Muslim culture. The parents are more authoritarian. They hold boundaries. And really the kids learn life lessons from the aunties, the uncles, and the community. A lot of different cultures. Some cultures still have this. But in Western culture, we've lost this. We've lost this whole idea. I mean, these days we don't even know the family living in the next unit in the same sky-rise building most times in the city. We don't even know our neighbours. So how can we expect our kids to learn valuable life lessons if we're not emulating the behaviour or getting to know our community, right? Yeah, that's fair enough, right? How parents do what parents do best, and they emulate boundaries, right? What are the no-go zones? What are the boundaries of do's and don'ts? And then as parents, we can preach to the young ones, don't do this, don't do that. But do kids really listen? Do they? Did you listen to your parents? Did I listen to my parents when they were preaching to me about cigarettes and alcohol and fucking drugs and sex? And no, man. I hit 18 and I went absolutely freaking crazy. I went mental. As soon as I got the drop of power and alcohol and everything in my system, I went nuts. So I didn't listen to my parents. I didn't listen to my biological parents, and I didn't listen to my foster parents. Right? I've done it all, man. I've seen it. I've seen it all in my 20s. Put it that way. I won't go into detail. In my 30s, I kind of started growing up. It wasn't until I went through my court cases that was it. Bang. Fuck it. I had to grow up. No, enough of this boy bullshit, right? Little boys do what they want. Men are accountable. That's it. There's no other way around it. You either make your circumstances a bitch to you, or they'll make you a bitch to them, right? My circumstances a few years ago made me a bitch. I was a bitch. I was a scared, fearful little boy running for his life. But I had to grow up. I had to reclaim my balls, take my power back. And I'm okay with it now. I'm a lot more solid. I'm a lot more confident in myself. And I'm pushing forwards. I'm making gains. It's not a quick progress. My whole project wasn't look at me in sort of 3 months. I've got this magnificent, I've gone through this life experience, and then look at me 3 months later, I've now got some sort of program that I'm running around trying to flog every man. No, absolutely not. And I'm quite clear on that. No, the second chance man is my legacy. It is not something that I put together in 6 months that I'm going to be out making millions of dollars in 12 months and flying jets and fast cars, no, absolutely not. I'm accountable myself, right? I'm here with a message. I'm here to create impact. I'm here to change men's lives because we need better, stronger men in this community. We need to break systemic behaviour patterns. There's a process around that. There's a number of processes around that. And then create stronger and better and more resilient men, leaders. Right? None of this imbalanced one direction or imbalanced the other direction. It's centered men, leaders, congruent men, accountable men who can stand in their power and firmly say no without going into warrior mode or rolling on the floor, chucking a tantrum, right? Stand in your power and firmly say no and not argue about it, not carry on. Men of integrity, men of honesty, men of accountability, right? Men of value. This is what we need in this community. Moreover, experienced men who have walked different lenses of life. not just the academics, the politicians, the soldiers, right? Experienced men who have gone through traumatic events in their life. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm not talking about glorified victimhood. No. Just no. Although a life story, lessons from it. I do not encourage playing the who's the biggest victim card on social media or in life. No, I do not subscribe to that. Not that ideology, right? What I do encourage is sharing the lessons from your journey. And all of us men, if we're hitting our 30s and going on in our 40s, we've racked up some interesting experiences, right? We've got some wisdom in there somewhere from some painful events. If you haven't gone through anything. You haven't been challenged through adversity, right? True adversity, pain. You haven't tapped into your resilience card. Right? True pain. You've had to be back against the wall and it becomes a life and death situation, either for yourself or for loved ones around you. It just hasn't happened yet. And as men coming from boys into men, we need to be traumatized in a way that's going to benefit our greater lives. This is where the rites of passage initiations come into play, right? The Spartans did it. The Romans originally did it. There's still some African tribal cultures. I know there's a couple of tribes in New Guinea and Indonesia that still practice rites of passage where the boys are severed. The connection is severed from their mother. And they're taken out bush somewhere, and they've got the elders or the uncles, as they call them in the tribes, initiating them into men, right? The Spartans would throw you out of the community as a 12-year-old boy, come back, with a wolf or something, dead, or don't come back at all. The Romans would throw you into a gauntlet of battle against another child. Read your history. There's oodles. There's tons. In Western culture, we've lost this rites of passage, and it's been replaced with pseudo initiations, which have a lack of, and some forms over accountability or bastardization. This is where we get hierarchy, right? The military is one perfect example. It's all hierarchy and rank. The next one is your paramilitary organizations, the police force, firefighters, ambulances, volunteer firefighters. They're all paramilitary, right? It's all hierarchy. It's based on rank, experience, who's got the most medals, who's gone through done the most missions, etc., like that. Power and rank, and it's all that hegemonic power over. You can be a high-ranking officer and you send your team in first and you go in last, right? That's sort of pseudo-initiation. And the last one underneath that is gangs, whether gangs out here on the streets or inside prison. Either way, we must initiate our boys. We must teach them accountability. If we don't, they will find it somewhere themselves. And that is left to chance. And the way chance is at the moment, the way we are as a culture where we lack ownership and accountability, and our younger men and boys coming through, I don't want to live life to just chance. Right? I want to be surrounded by men who have full accountability from themselves to self and accountability to others. All right. Got some value from that? This is my very first masterclass. So I've been going almost an hour and a half. I'm absolutely exhausted. So I'm going to say good night to you all. Please, if you got some value from tonight, leave some feedback down below. How would you like me to run something like this every week? Yeah. I'm wanting to do something, fire this group up a little bit more. Share some love, give some lessons. Yeah. I'm human. I'm not just some bot, just forwarding long form posts. I'm human. I feel emotions like every one of you do too. I love you all. Leave me some feedback below. Give us a like, a love heart, whatever you feel, and I can only improve from there on, right? Once again, this is a masterclass on accountability. If you want more details, leave some comments below and I will get back to you and we can have a full detailed conversation. Until then, don't hesitate to reach out. I will reply. Just give me time. I hope. Let's go. Share some love. Give some lessons. Yeah.